What craziness does this week's Ted Lasso have for us? A lot. Let's talk about it now. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch Your Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 5, Signs, which is coming to Apple TV Plus on April 12th, 2023. It follows the team after Richmond's big loss to West Ham United, and the aftermath of that, along with all the other crazy storylines that have happened this season in Ted Lasso. My hot take is, I think it's ultimately a watch. So this one's kind of in between a watch or a rent. Like, I really liked that it was funny. I like that it continues a lot of the storylines, and I did like that it ended on a high note. But this really almost feels like a filler episode. Like, there's so much going on that they are just kind of advancing all the different storylines, and you don't really get a ton of fulfilling conclusions or like meaningful advances in a lot of them. And it also lacks soccer. So I'm going to tell you a little more about this episode, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and also in doing that, talk about things that happened in the episode. So if you haven't watched this episode yet, make sure to check it out. It's on Apple TV Plus now, and then come back and hear my thoughts because there will be spoilers. So in Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 5, Signs, do you have Richmond slide in the Premier League? If you remember in the last episode, West Ham and Richmond were kind of vying for that top spot. West Ham won. After that, Richmond has gone on a losing streak, and they are now ninth in the Premier League. So they are not in danger of being relegated, but they are definitely far below where they were hoping to, especially now that they have Zava. So will they turn around? They have this big game against Man City midweek. We will see if they can do it, but you also have a ton of other different storylines. You've got drama in Ted's family. You got some emotional scenes with Rebecca. You have Keeley trying to kind of manage her company and figure that out as well. And you have some internal strife within the team. So there's a lot going on in this episode in the build up to the Man City game. So things I liked about this episode. The first, look, it's really funny. I really liked that it has that trademark Ted Lasso humor. It was missing in the very first episode of this season, but it has since picked up. One of my favorite lines is in the very start when Leslie gets a text from his dad about the team's performance. I thought it was very funny. I laughed very hard at that. And it continues throughout. There's not a ton of kind of laugh out loud moments, but it still has that trademark Ted Lasso humor. Second thing I loved is, look, Zava. Zava is always a fun character. I like that he's over the top. I like that he kind of commands the room. He has some very lines as well, and every time he's on screen, I enjoy it a lot. And the last thing I loved is, look, it ends on a high note. This episode is a little frantic. There is a lot going on, but it ends on a really good kind of Ted Lasso speech that really kind of brings everything home and makes me excited to see what will happen later in this season. So, things I didn't love as much. The first, look, I'm always going to complain about lack of soccer. There is a big build up to the Man City game in this episode, and then the actual game itself, you get almost nothing. There's like them coming out to the field, and I think there's like a couple scenes of them walking off the field, and that's about it. So I would have liked to see a little more soccer. I would have liked to see anything really, but the Man City game is just kind of the carrot to advance all the other storylines that are happening before and during that game. The second thing I didn't love is, look, it feels kind of like a build-up episode. It's not really a filler episode because stuff happens, but there is so much going on in this Ted Lasso season that this just seems to kind of like advance all the different subplots just a little bit, and it's trying to kind of keep track of them all and move them all forward. And in doing that, it has this very kind of frantic organization, and it doesn't really feel like anything advances too much. Now we do get some changes in different characters. You get a new relationship that happens, but overall, it just feels like there is so much going on that you don't really get a ton of closure in this episode. But that being said, it does really set up the latter half of the season. So I'm excited to see where Ted Lasso goes. It's just you didn't get a ton in this specific episode. The last thing I didn't love as much is Zava, but not for that reason. At the end of this episode, and spoilers, there will be spoilers. Zava decides that he's going to retire from soccer. He doesn't show up for the Man City game. They're all wondering what's going on. Richmond end up losing to Man City 4-0. And at the end, they see this kind of like announcement from Zava that he's going to quit soccer, retire, and focus on his family and his avocado farms. And so presumably that means we're probably not going to see much of Zava. Maybe it'll just be like a ruse and he'll come back stronger than ever. But my guess is they will probably move Zava out, and this is kind of the avenue for Jamie to come in and be the leader of the team. He's been training with Roy. He is starting to kind of speak up in this episode, so I think they are trying to set up Jamie to come in and be the leader in this team and be the leader in the locker room, kind of what we expected him to be at the start of the season. But that also means that there will be no more Zava. There will be no more funny Zava quotes. There will be no more kind of funny Zava-isms. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the season, but I think our time with Zava is now over. So that makes me very sad. That's one thing I didn't love about this. So that is Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 5. It's available on HBO Max now, April 12th, 2023. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.